Well, 4:44. Finally got here. I've been awake. I've been up over 2 hours. I've been up 2 hours and awake longer than that. Yesterday's video, I mentioned that I had gotten a request to do a video on marriage. And then I also got a request during the day to do a video about Joseph Kony, who has been making lots of waves, or at least the program that they developed about him have created lots of waves. However, in my meditation today, I didn't feel either of them was where I wanted to go. Although I may mention them both again before today's video is over. I'm not going to dwell on those as the theme. And I didn't know what the theme was when I came out of the meditation room and arrived at the computer. Actually, between 3 and 3:15. So I've been at the computer for a good while. And the meditation has actually continued at the computer. Believe it or not, one of the things that I do to meditate sometimes is play Free Cell. Now that may sound really strange, but it's something that seems to work for me sometimes. Anyway, the title that I've chosen for today came from Tut's message. And the title is 2012 Dealing with Criticism. And the message was, Ron, the need to criticize simply belies a longing for recognition, appreciation, and validation, none of which, however, can be obtained through criticism. I'm sure it's just a phase they're going through. Wink. The universe. And for those of you on YouTube, I've included the link to Tut's Adventurers Club, so that if you want to join it with the hundreds of some thousands of other people around the world that are members, you can go to that link and join. When I read that message, I thought, I didn't even think about that at all. That didn't come up at all in my meditation this morning. But it came up a lot yesterday as I felt that I was being criticized by several people. And I mean, that happens. I mean, and if somebody makes a critical comment, it doesn't usually bother me at all. I mean, everybody's entitled to their point of view. But when people make a criticism, and then they make another criticism, then they make another criticism, then they make another criticism, and then they make another criticism, and they might end up with 10 criticisms in the space of an hour or two, where every time they think of something else that they can criticize, they try to keep adding fuel to the fire. That's no longer criticism. That's obsession. And the main criticism yesterday was somebody actually took the time to go through my video and count how many times I used I, me, or my, even implied I's, e's, I's, me, or my. They weren't hearing any message. They were there to criticize. You're stuck in your ego because you're using these first person pronouns. And that's the mark of a non-spiritual person. Oh, really? I don't mind, as I said, when somebody expresses a point of view. I don't even feel the need most of the time to comment. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just let it pass. But this thing has come up in my life before, because let me tell you something. When I listen to somebody speak and they're talking in second person, I'm sorry. It's analytical. It's not about them. Oh, look at that. I'm just going to let it burn. I'll fix it later. That reminds me, the other part of it, the PS in Tut's message was, Ron, you're glowing. Look at that. Wow. Anyway, what impresses me and catches my attention is when I hear somebody sharing their experience. Now, how do you share your experience in second person? Or we? No, we didn't. You did. I did. We experienced it individually. And the only way we can tell what we perceive, feel, experience is by speaking in the first person. There is no other way. And to be invalidated for that as being not spiritual is insane. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, and if you disagree, that's fine. I'm not gonna keep laying it out. I'm not gonna put it on your Facebook page or your YouTube channel. I'm not gonna keep putting it there and putting it in your face till you get it. Because I know the truth of the matter is you won't get it that way. You never learn anything. I never learned anything by somebody trying to convince me that they're right and I'm wrong. That it doesn't come to me that way. All that happens when somebody does that is a wall goes up, defense mechanisms go up. That's how humans react and act. That is really going. But it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. And about relationships and marriage. Marriage was the thing that they wanted me to do. When you're living close to somebody in a relationship, that's when criticism really comes out, because you see all their idiosyncrasies, all their little faults and shortcomings are there in your face because you're living with it, for God's sake. And we're put together with people sometimes to see parts of ourselves that we're blind to. So every marriage, every relation, every intimate relationship, every close relationship has a factor in it that's going to bring these things to the surface. And I don't know if you've ever lived with anybody that's a nag. I've had that pleasure. Yeah, right. It's the same as the people that are criticizing. Boom, 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 boom. Look at this. Look at this. Will you look at this? Come on, I want you to see this. What's wrong with you? I want you to see that. Will you pay attention? I'm trying to get you to look at something that I don't like, that bothers me. And I want you to stop bothering me with that, because I don't know how to handle it. So I want you to fix yourself so that I'm not bothered by your idiosyncrasy, by your little fault that I happen to notice. Whether it's a fault or not, I notice it and I have identified it as a fault. That's marriage. What's happening in 2012? What's happening with this awakening is we are coming face to face with parts of ourselves expressed oftentimes through other people. Now, that doesn't mean that their thing is valid, but how are you going to deal with it? That's the thing that matters. How are you going to deal with your feelings, with your reactions? How are you going to deal? How are you going to marry all the parts of yourself so that you can become the most whole person you can be? How are you going to draw the line when other people are trying to invalidate you and criticize you and judge you? How are you going to handle it? What are you going to do with it? Somebody says that drawing away from an argument is not how you learn anything, or a debate is not how you learn anything. Oh, really? You don't learn anything in a debate when the debate gets heated and impassioned, because everybody's talking over everybody and not listening. Everybody's trying to make their point and nothing is learned. as Tut said, as Mike Dooley said in Tut's message, none of which, however, can be obtained through criticism. You're not going to get recognition or validation by criticizing somebody. You're not going to be appreciated for being a nag. It just won't work that way. And so you, the critic and the criticizer, all of which we are. I've been a critic and a criticizer. I've been a nag. I hope not too much. But anyway, we get these mirrors. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do? All right, I've got this picture of Joseph Kony on my computer. And since so many people were trying to get me to do something on that, he's an African terrorist who goes around using children. He takes the boys and makes them boy soldiers to commit acts of atrocity. And he rapes the little girls and stuff like that. And if they don't do what they're told, they get killed. It's atrocious. And people wanted to know where I stand on that. Am I in favor of Joseph Kony and what he's doing? Absolutely, I'm not. How could anybody be in favor of Joseph Kony and what he is doing? But I want to tell you something. The terrorists wear ties and white shirts and suits and sit in ivory towers. The real terrorists are the moneyed people that are behind the scenes, fomenting all of the discontent because they live off that. They are sick people that have the cloak of respectability. And they are the ones that furnish the weapons and furnish the money and furnish everything that's necessary to create the little terrorists like Joseph Kony. He's not the problem. Do we need to deal with him? Sure, but we need to see the bigger problem. Criticizing one individual as if that's going to fix the world, I'm sorry. If you want to aim at one person, you're going to have to find the person who's at the top of the pyramid on this planet, and that's where you're going to have to go, because that's where the problem is. It's not anybody down below that's doing these little terrible things that they try to get us to focus on. No. And you want to really get at it, recognize that the person at the top of the pyramid is an ego that is in you, that thinks that it's the most important, that it's the only one that's right, that everyone has to do its bidding and see it its way, and it doesn't allow the live and let live attitude to prevail, because it's a control attitude. And we all have that to some degree inside of us. I have it in me, you have it in you. It's part of the human experience. So when I'm wanting, or when you're wanting to criticize Joseph Kony or anybody, are they wonderful people? Absolutely not. First, look and see, how does this relate to me? I had to do that with Kerry Cassidy yesterday, which I shared in yesterday's video. These are relationship issues. These are marriage issues. We have to, before we can have a successful marriage in the outer world, we have to marry ourselves. We have to bring our own opposites into reconciliation and stop the war and start the dance. We have to do that. And when we do that, we won't have the strong need to cry out for recognition and appreciation and validation. I don't need people to, I like it. I like it when people say, Ron, you're doing a good job. I like that. But I don't need it so much anymore, because I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm being vulnerable. I'm being authentic. As much as I know how, I'm telling the truth about what happens with me. And I've been doing that for a long time now, well over a year, day after day after day after day. I don't know how many videos I have now, 450 now maybe or something? I have no idea. But anyway, Still hasn't run over the dish. But anyway, I'm going to draw the string on this. It's 15 minutes. And I want you to consider some of the things that I've said today and see where it fits. It may or may not fit where you are, but chances are most of you will be able to relate to something that I've shared today. And that's my hope and desire, so that we can all become better people and create together a better world. Because it's not just me. I can't do it by myself. I need us. I need to be part of a bigger whole. And I've shared my experience and my insights, but it's all of us working together that's going to create the world that works for everyone. It can't be done any other way. Thank you for listening. Namaste.